Welcome, Airsofters and Milsimmers all over the country. You are listening to the premiere episode of This Week in Airsoft. We're glad to have you all here tonight. My name is Javier Dark Horse, and with me I have my co-host James Fringe. We're here to bring you guys the best in the Airsoft all across this nation and the latest and greatest in use. Not just the reviews, not just the technical information, but what's happening in the community right now. James, why don't you say hi to the folks?
Hey, how you doing, guys? Hopefully we're going to serve you well and just give you the best Airsoft information. I've been playing Airsoft for about 2 years, and I love it, and I just want to make sure that we can help make the sport better and that all we're doing is helping improve.
Yep, James, myself, I've been playing Airsoft for about 2 years myself, too. I came over from scenario paintball, so I crossed over to the dark side, as many have come to know. And myself, I'm also a veteran of the Army. I did 6 years. I'm a combat vet, so I'm bringing that perspective to the table today, too, also. So we hope to give you guys a lot of good information and make Airsoft and Milsim in particular something that people really catches their attention and bring you the best in that kind of news. This Week in Airsoft was designed, and we've set up ourselves to be the only real national unused or media hub for all your information about Airsoft. We're not a regional. We're not just your area. We're what's happening across the country and across the Airsoft community and Milsim community, because we want, from the East Coast to the West Coast, we want, the community to come together and start thinking together for the positive and continuous growth of this community. I know, James, I'm sure you'll agree, and we founded this with the understanding that everything we say and everything we do, from your reviews, tech talk, to stories of what's happening in Airsoft, is of the most unbiased nature with zero slant. So there's nobody, we don't answer to anybody. We answer to you guys in the Milsim and Airsoft community, bringing you the information that you need to know, from players, for players, and that's what we're about. Right, James?
Absolutely.
So I think that you guys will find that our shows will be entertaining, but more importantly, informative. And this week is no exception to that. As a matter of fact, with our launch this week, we've been presented with a particularly tough subject, real world in a lot of ways, and we are glad to bring this information out to everybody. In the formation of our first episode, we were looking to profile icons and people that you would know in the Airsoft community as leaders and people that you trust. Well, during our investigation and our preparation, we came across the famous Bushman. This gentleman is Shane Vanneman. The Bushman, he is out of Arkansas, and he's a popular icon and figure of the MSE and Oklahoma Invasion series, along with all their other operations there. Well, what ended up happening is that we went from, talking about what was a great leader and a great guy in the Airsoft community to finding out that this man has never been the Army Special Forces sniper that he claimed to have been, that his credentials as military were not true, and that everything he'd been telling the Airsoft community for all these years of operating was a lie. So sadly, we start our show off, and we start our series off with the sad news that the community has been lied to, and somebody has been, benefiting from his lies and telling you guys out there, telling you players out there, what's not true. And I think it was important for us to get it out there and let everybody know exactly what was happening, because this affects us all. There are a lot of local players, there's a lot of regional games, and there are a lot of very honorable players and a lot of veterans playing Airsoft. And I know, James, you'll agree that there are a lot of Airsofters that have never served. There's a lot of veteran Airsofters, and we all come together on the field to play this great sport, which is Airsoft and Milsim every weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And we, the thing is, I think we all, as Airsofters, we have a heavy respect for what we're emulating out there, what we're being on the weekend. You know, when we dress up and put our uniforms on and hit the field and, you know, use our rifles and call our hits and be honorable on the field, we're knowing that we're doing that with respect to the armed services of all the countries that we're pretending to be at the time. You know, when we're in our role, you know, we want to have fun, but we honor and respect those individuals who sacrificed and gave. So, you know, it's kind of a shock to all of us when something like this happens, and, you know, I think it's important that we, you know, really focus on this, because I know a lot of vets out there who do play Airsoft, and a lot of non-Airsoft players will look at Airsofters and say, oh, this is the kind of guys those guys are. You know, they'll say, Airsofters are all BS. They're all, you know, pretending, and they're posers, and they're wannabes, you know. And that's not what Airsoft's about, and it's important that we take a strong stand against that. You know, you shouldn't be, you know, saying you're a Special Forces sniper when you're not. You shouldn't be wearing captain bars if you're not. You shouldn't be, you know, wearing a first lieutenant's badge if you're not. You know, all of these things, you know, you have to remember, guys who earned it, that's one thing. If you didn't earn it, it's okay. Airsoft's not about whether you earned a medal or anything in the military. Airsoft's about getting out there, having fun, you know, being a geardo, you know, that's what we love to do in Airsoft. So we got to focus on having fun and getting away from trying to impress people and telling lies. It just doesn't make any sense. It's not what Airsoft's about, and it sends the wrong message.
So, yeah. So, folks, when we came to find out this information, we wanted to figure the best way to present it for everybody, and the best way for everybody to understand what's been happening. And, you know, right now in the Airsoft community, like I said, it's very regional. Everybody's got their forums, and there's a lot of talk in the community. Now, what happens in this talk in the community is you have your left side and your right side of the issue, and people either take a side or try and stay in the middle. But most of the time it's slanted left or right. So rather than you learn through the forums and your opinions, what we did was we went straight to the sources on this. We looked for the facts, and that's what we're bringing you today. We first sat down with the new producers of MSE, Milsim Events, Frosty, and they told us exactly what happened and how this all went down on their end from their perspective. After we did that, we spoke with the gentleman that the actually military man. One is a retired captain, one is currently staff sergeant with the Arkansas National Guard, and these gentlemen were incredibly helpful. And these are the men that went out there and did the diligent investigating and the looking and found the evidence, the concrete, solid evidence, not just speculation or somebody's opinion, but the evidence through the military, through the Army, the DOD, that these things were all true. So we talked to them too, and they gave us their reaction to what the folks at MSE said, and they gave us this background story on how they came to the conclusion that the Bushman, the longtime sniper and icon to many, was actually a fraud. And we were able to hear, you know, two really good perspectives and an understanding of what had been happening. Now, obviously, everybody knows that a company, an organization like MSE is going to be, and anything they say is going to be damage control. That's a reality of business. So, but at the same time, they are talking about how they want to improve things and change things, and we can only hope that what they say ends up being true. And the investigators that came up with the information and the gentlemen that found out what was happening have that same feeling. They feel that, you know, an organization like MSC can say, you know, they're going to do better, do this or do that in order to, you know, make everybody happy and kind of set the things straight now in the Airsoft Milsim universe. But I think at the end of the day, after you've listened to both sides, after we've all heard what both sides have to say about this, the guys that were, you know, closest to the Bushman, Shane Vanneman, the guys that were accusing Shane Vanneman and proving that he was false and lying and committing a crime, I think that it'll be left for all of us to sit back and watch. Watch what organizations like MSC do. Watch what other promoters do. And see how the Airsoft community itself recovers from this kind of thing. Because it's important that everybody from the newest Airsoft player to the most veteran airsoft game and Milsim promoter learn something from what's happened. And we all learned that, one, we don't tolerate these kinds of people. We don't tolerate their actions. And that it is everybody's responsibility to point it out when it does happen. You know, ignorance is bliss. And I don't think we should be ignorant. I don't think anybody in the airsoft community should be ignorant to these kinds of things. And at any time that, you know, you feel it's important to question something like this, question it. You know, that's how these people are kept, you know, from being on our radar. That's how these people are kept from the airsoft community. We can all go out there on the weekend. We can have our alter ego. We can have a good time. But when the game is over, take it off, leave it on the field. And go home just being happy with who you are and having enjoyed a great airsoft game. What do you think, James?
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. I mean, airsoft, you know, this is a great example of how airsoft really polices itself. And we don't need someone to step in from the outside and try to fix our problems for us or whatever. You know, we all know, you know, after SB 798 and other things out there like it that are going on right now, we know that we need to watch ourselves and self-police, you know, because it's going to always come back to, you know, airsofters have dropped the ball and caused the problem or whatever. So we're taking it up. We're taking care of it. We're policing it up. And, you know, we're going to be on the watch for these things. And this is going to hopefully signify a shift in how other people deal with people on their teams or people who say this or that. You know, they need to show a DD-214. They need to, you know, put themselves out there and say, hey, look, I'm legit. This is how you can tell, whatever. I want to wear my captain bars, whatever it is. You know, so, you know, hopefully this is a shift, and, you know, hopefully we're all going to be aware of posers, and you know, we need to out them. I know they're our friends, but if they're doing this, it's just sacrilege. It really is. It goes against everything airsoft is about.
Yeah, they can't be a real friend to you if they've been lying to you continuously. You know, that's not a friend. You know, if a friend tells me, you know, hey, no, you're not ugly. I mean, okay, you know, little white lies kind of thing, and that's one thing. But I mean, if your friend is carrying on an entire persona which you've come to, you know, respect and believe is who he is, and then you find out it's not true, that's not a friend. You know, and is that somebody you really want to have by your side fighting? You know, somebody's got, I mean, I've heard people say that, you know, oh, I would still trust him in action and all that. And I'll tell you what, you know, when I was in combat, you know, guys tell each other things they wouldn't tell their priest or their girlfriend and wife. So, you know, that's the kind of guy I want. I want somebody that I can truly trust. You know, because at the end of the day, it's your butt out there in those games, and then the key to winning is being able to trust your teammates.
Exactly.
All right, well, go ahead, James, sorry.
No, I would say we should get off our soapboxes and let them hear these interviews.
Exactly. I was about to say, I think we've rambled on long enough, and I think the folks now need to listen to the interviews, listen to both sides, and develop their own opinion. I think that is the best way we can serve Airsoft and Milsim community, and hopefully all learn from this. All right, James, do I have you?
Yep, I'm here.
All right, James, I want to introduce Blake, a.k.a. Frosty, and JP from MSC.
How's it going, man?
You guys are now aware that we are recording, and you know, from here on out, everything you say is on the record.
Sounds good.
Sounds good? Okay. James, is everything coming in all right so far on your end?
Oh, yeah, everything's coming in good, yeah.
All right, then we're going to go ahead and get started. James, I told them that we'll be doing a quick intro, and then we'll just get straight to brass tacks here, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, here we go. Good evening, everybody. This is Javier Dark Horse with This Week in Airsoft. Tonight I have the distinct opportunity to be sitting down with Blake Frosty. You guys know him from MSC, Milsim Events, and JP, his new partner in crime out there in Oklahoma. And I want to thank you guys for taking the time and talking with us, and we're glad to have you here with us.
Hey, glad to have us.
Thank you for having us. Yes, well, I approached you guys a little bit ago. Originally, we here at This Week in Airsoft, we were going to do a segment on icons and heroes, I guess you could say, to the people in the airsoft community, you know, major celebrities, and we wanted to approach you about interviewing the Bushman, Gregory Shane Vanneman, who has become a bit of a legend to a lot of people, especially out there in Oklahoma and the Oklahoma invasion and your other events like Black Ops. And we wanted to profile him and add him to our list of people that, you know, more people should know about, you know. And while going through our investigation and background story, we started to come across some startling opinions and allegations about how his service in the military and the person that he portrayed himself as was false. It came to our attention as we continued looking that he wasn't this retired or professional special forces sniper that he'd been claiming and saying he was for all these years with you guys, and trying to put off. Now, this was obviously a huge shock to us, being that we were looking at a completely different type of story. But once we found out and started to investigate, we felt it was important to understand your guys' position and MSC's position, and kind of get a response to something that you know, is going to sadly probably disappoint a lot of people to learn and find out. I first want to ask, and you know, this is just a little understanding from, let's say, somebody that's never been to Oklahoma Invasion and doesn't know MSC. How did Gregory Shane Vanneman, the Bushman, come to be a part of MSC?
Well, about 2 years ago, I believe it was December 2009, we was approached by a guy from Arkansas, had called a previous MSC director that's no longer with us, and introduced himself as a special forces sniper. Wanted to come out and attend the game, you know, wanted to know if he qualified as a sniper. And so the previous director, you know, called me up and said, "Hey man, we got this special forces sniper guy that wants to come out." You know, it was really exciting at the time. You know, little did we know years to come down the road. So along he came. You know, we got some video footage of him. He played. We all had a good time, and as time progressed, we got to know the guy a little better, and built a friendship. And you know, basically just went on the fly with what we was told by the previous director, and you know, and everything that he had to say.
Who was the director?
The previous director was Claymore.
Claymore. Okay, so Claymore is the one that introduced him, and you know, did they shake hands? This is the guy, and brought him into the family, I guess, right?
Yes.
All right. My next question would probably be what first raised the red flags about the Bushman and his questionable record and now false record. What really set things off for you guys?
Well, how long ago was it, JP, that we started getting information and getting emails?
I think about maybe 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks.
Something like that. You know, we started getting some emails trickling in, and things were going on some forums. I guess at the SHOT Show, I this year didn't get to make the SHOT Show. I guess he had introduced himself as certain titles at the SHOT Show of, Special Forces or whatever. Like I said, I wasn't there. You know, and some videos and things that had been posted and things that he had said on video, I guess, caught some attention, and some people started digging into his background. And, wasn't finding the background that he was saying, from what I understand. So, obviously, as soon as we got wind of this, we become very concerned and trying to figure out what steps to take, how to go about this the right way. We started, trying to do some of our own research, trying to figure out, what's going on here, and make sure that, we need understand what direction we needed to go for sure.
Right.
Is this true? Go ahead, JP.
I mean, we basically just wanted to, as soon as we found out about it, we acted on it, but we needed to collect all the facts before, we could pass any type of judgment, because, we need to hear both sides of the stories and just make sure it's not some type of a grudge, so we just want to make sure we had all our ducks in a row, and that's why we, it's taken about a week to get. It's, actually kind of difficult to do that kind of research. So that's what we've been doing, and here's where we are.
What when you guys? I'm assuming you guys have sat down and had a conversation with the Bushman now about this whole thing, right?
Yes.
Yes.
What was his response? How does he justify his actions to you guys, his friends?
You want to answer that, JP?
No, I'll let you do that.
Okay. Basically we sat down and we said, Shane, we're your friends, you need to tell us the truth. What's going on here? And he told us that, he was not in the Army. And, that, I don't really understand, what his logic or thinking was behind going with this story. That is yet for me to understand. I really didn't understand the explanation for that. But, he did tell us, he was very sorry, very hurt. It wounded us deeply, this is a big no-no, especially to not just portray somebody being in the Army, but to take it so many steps further to say that, he was in the Special Forces like that. Any type of falsification like that, in our eyes is so disrespectful and so low. And, it was a painful conversation to have. But, he just, he said that he wasn't in the Army. And then he apologized.
How do you feel about his answer, and how do you feel about what he did to MSC? This is a man that's been an icon to the organization and to MSC, and he's featured on photos and stuff like that. And it's kind of in a little bit of a way. MSC and Bushman's photo kind of sit hand in hand. So how do you feel about that all?
Well, it's very disrespectful to us, to mislead us and lead us in a false direction. Obviously we're very hurt, very, I wouldn't say angry, but, we're very upset about it. It's eye-opening for us, for somebody to start coming in now and say this and that or whatever, obviously we're going to be, a lot more cautious and do a little more homework and not just, take word of somebody anymore. There's nothing we can really do. We've banned him. He will not be attending any MSC games or be a part of the MSC community any longer. That's what we do in these situations, and we're preparing a statement now to post up publicly in writing for everybody to see, and that should be up tonight or in the morning.
So you're saying that you're so far he's going to be banned from the forum. Obviously, he's going to be banned from MSC events. What other actions? Do you feel that, are there any more actions that MSC and you guys are going to take as a group, to really spread the word about his action, or is there legal action that should be taken at this point against Mr. Venman?
That is not for me to judge him on that factor. That's a conversation to be had amongst the MSC partners that we have yet had time to sit down and discuss how much further we're going to take it. The guys, we're very disappointed in what he did. I think there's a lot of other people out there that are going to take it a lot further. I don't know if MSC needs to, press legal action or anything like that. I don't see that really being something that we do. But, like I said, this conversation to be had amongst the partners. But, the guy's dug a pretty deep hole, and, he's in it, and, I don't want him no longer being a part of MSC and what we do, and I think that's just going to be about as far as we take it.
And not only that, we can only control as far as our community goes. So, like Frosty said, he's no longer going to be part of the MSC community. He's not going to be allowed to be at any MSC sanctioned ops, any ops that we sponsor. If a promoter comes and talks to us and says, this guy might be going to one of our events, I'd say, hey, I don't think that's a good idea. I really can't get out there and say, hey, this guy, don't ever talk to him again and whatnot. We can only kind of control our sphere of influence, but unfortunately, what he's done is pretty much one of those things that you can't forgive, and how you like to always give people a second chance. Unfortunately, in this case, there really isn't that option. So that's our stance on it, and it's just unfortunate for everybody, and we feel hurt because we feel like we were taken advantage of, and just a bad situation. I wish I understood the logic behind it, but there just doesn't seem to be any.
What kind of damage do you think he's done to MSC in the long term now, because of his long association now? I mean, this is not just a gentleman that has been going to your events and doing this for a while. This is somebody that's like you said, was a friend and a part of the family. This has to have some kind of repercussion within MSC itself, and how it's maybe viewed by the public.
Well, that doesn't bother me too much. What bothers me is just how it's kind of a once bitten twice shy thing, where it just really kind of affected our core group of guys, and it's going to really affect the community more than us. The community in Arkansas is what's really going to be affected. And, we're just, have to do what we can do to keep, move on and take care of this in a proper manner and, keep promoting the sport of airsoft.
Now, as a veteran myself, I did 6 years with the Army Guard. I had my tours, my one tour in Iraq, and, to people like me, airsoft has been a great release and been a great sport. But then at the same time, it's been plagued with a lot of these kind of people. And what would you guys say to people like me, to airsofters, and that are veterans also? What is your hard stance on this? Because I don't want to say that we don't think that you guys are doing exactly what should be done, because I think you are. But then the question is, your own forum shows circumstances where other people have been called out for posing, and it's in your own forum saying that you're going to you're going to gather as far into your influence of reach as possible to affect this guy, and it's he will never be able to recover for such acts. This is coming from your own forum about a guy posing as a Navy SEAL in a dress uniform. So, is it fair to say that, we're going to ban him from the forum, we're going to ban him from events, we may discourage him, but, we're going to leave it at that, when, somebody else less known might not get off as easy? How would you respond to that possibility or that feeling, especially from somebody that's a veteran?
You want to answer that, Fossey, or?
I don't even really understand what he's saying. He's talking about going in the forum.
I don't, I'm not going to go to the guy's house and, call the police. As far as what I'm not exactly sure what we have posted on the forums that lead you. I don't know what else we can do besides say, hey, this guy is not a good guy. This guy lied. This guy will not be allowed to go to any of our events. We suggest that you don't let him go to any of your events. I don't know what else, what else we can really do. I don't want to make this a personal vendetta against the guy for the rest of my life. I just want to get it over with, bring everything out the air, let everybody know what's happening, and that this man was lying about his service record, and then, be done with the man.
Okay.
And what's said on the forum? Just because somebody says something on our forum doesn't mean, that's how that the staff feels. And as far as I know, I don't think the staff or anybody that is current staff has posted anything about Navy SEALs or anything like that, and us feeling that they need to be persecuted. But, anybody can get on the forum and say, what they feel. We're not going to keep people from saying what they feel about a situation.
Okay. Well, as far as that particular instance, I'm reading from a posting on December 13th by MSE staff. But beyond that, so what would be your message to veteran players, that are soldiers, about people like this? What is your general statement about these kind of people to somebody like me that has spent my time in the field, spent my time in my service, and, now has to hear about these kind of people?
I mean, I believe in, and correct me if I'm wrong, Frosty, but I mean, my stance is that it's not tolerated. And, once we had found out about what was going on, we made sure we had all the facts. We removed this person from our community. We suggest everybody remove them from their community and have nothing to do with them in the sport of airsoft. And I don't know really what more I can do. It's a zero tolerance policy, and unfortunately, I lost a friend, and it's a bad thing, but you just can't tolerate it, period. So,
agreed.
You want to expand on that at all, Frosty?
I think you're right, JP. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I'm not going to go out and, rally up torches and pitchforks and go to the guy's house. That's not my place. I'm not, obviously I feel it's very, very wrong, and I'm ashamed of him and everything that's happened. But like I said, we're going to do what we do as far as our community and, blackball the guy and get him out, and I feel like that's what we can do. And the point of what you just said about the MSU staff, that is a member of the staff that is no longer part of MSC. So. Okay.
All right. Well, let's switch gears a little bit here now. Now that we have a clear understanding of MSC's position on Gregory Shane Vanneman, also known as the Bushman. We've heard there's a recent change in staff happening here at MSC. Could you tell us a little more about that?
We had another director, Claymore, and we started this out several years ago, and we just kind of grown apart. People change, and time goes on, and people have different points of views, and he was kind of going one direction, I was kind of going another, along with some business practices that I wasn't completely comfortable with. And I decided to go my direction, and he's going his, and, for lack of a better term, we're divorced.
How does this affect MSC? Does it, is all of a sudden, one of the key, partners in MSC, one of the originals here, does it mean that there's any danger now to Oklahoma Invasion 7? Is it going to be delayed, stalled, Are we looking at any problems because of the fact that you guys broke up, over this? And how does are there any repercussions to your events and your program in general?
I feel like no. I feel like things have gotten better. We've got more good people on board that were willing to come on board now, and a lot more people working together for the greater purpose and the greater good airsoft.
Now, CJ, JP, my mistake. Bad typo there. JP, I was explaining, we were told that you're now come on now with Frosty, and I guess you two are the team now. What are you bringing to the table, and how will we be seeing more of you now?
Well, we've actually got more than just me and Frosty. We got a couple good guys on the team that each have their own little niche of expertise. I've been in the airsoft community, I guess, maybe 6 or 7 years. I was a commander for the Oklahoma Forces in Invasion 3. And,
Invasion 4, JP.
4. And I've done a lot of event planning and staffing with MSE over the last, since their inception. So, what we're looking at this year is to have a more immersive experience for the player. We're going to try to take some of the tedious things such as guard duties and long patrols with nothing going on and make it a more dynamic game with the ability to run side missions that are objective based along with multiple urban centers and assaults. So we're kind of trying to switch gears where players and squads have the choice of going high speed, low drag and running the mission where they can, go and set up a comm relay behind enemy lines without firing a shot, or they can do a full assault on a town with APCs. I run a couple of local ops. I'll run a local op every year in Oklahoma called Winter Garden. That's that I believe is pretty highly regarded. So I have a lot of planning experience that I'm bringing to the table, and I've worked with Frosty for a long time. We're good friends. We got a lot of other smart guys in the community that offer their input, and so I'm just kind of taking everything in, and we're all sitting down together and doing this as a team. I think it's going to be a great game this year.
Well, it sounds like you guys have a big vision and a big direction that you guys definitely want to take things in, and it sounds like it can only be positive, especially with the reorganization that seems to be happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those kind of like catharsis. I think it's like a growing pain, and I think that's you need these things just have to happen in order for for the sport to develop and things get taken to the next level. And I mean, I think it's a positive thing. I think everyone's going to be stronger. The community in Oklahoma's going to be stronger. I think the Airsoft in some community is going to be stronger in general.
Well, I definitely want to thank you guys for taking the time to talk to us and to give us your perspective, and to hear that MSC is making some big changes. You may be feeling a little pain right now, but overall the direction seems to be one of real progress. And I hope.
The first thing is we're all players, and that's the big thing with us. We want we're players first, and we want everyone to have a good time, and that's what we're aiming to do.
And that's always a good thing to hear. I'm sure that the community will likes to know that players making events for players that everybody can enjoy. So I want to thank you guys again for being on with us. I want to. Hope we can talk again and continue to discuss future events and future things happening in the community, along with what's going on with MilSim events, and see where that goes from. I want to thank everybody for listening in on this exclusive interview with the guys from MSC on the latest and greatest current events as to what's been happening, both good and bad, but all positive, I think, in the end. And I was happy to have you guys here with us.
Well, we appreciate the call.
All right, folks, we're back. You guys have just heard the interview with MSC and This Week in Airsoft. Now that we've heard their side of the story, we have the distinct opportunity and the luck that we have the gentleman that did the diligent investigating and the uncovering of the truth about Shane Vanneman, the Bushman. It's important that for everybody to understand that while we went to MSC and talked about their side of the story, it's that we also hear the other side. In order to understand how this all happened and to prevent it from happening again, it's important for us to discourage these kinds of people from doing this. With us today, we have Jay Irwin. He is a retired captain with the Army. He was with Armored Cav in Operation Iraqi Freedom. And we have Staff Sergeant Leland Lawson, who is currently still active as a Staff Sergeant Infantryman with the Arkansas National Guard. He's had the opportunity to serve in OIF. He's also served here at home as part of Katrina and humanitarian work. So we have two true professional gentlemen here that did us a huge favor and did the community the favor of uncovering this liar and this fake to everybody. Gentlemen, I just want to go ahead and thank you for being here, and thank you for taking the time to talk with us about this whole situation.
Thanks, Javier. It's good to be here.
Well, first of all, I just want to go ahead and let's talk about the interview that you guys just heard. You guys just took the time and you heard exactly MSC's position, their feelings on this, and how it all kind of happened from their side. Could I get just initial reaction from you guys? How do you feel about how MSC is taking this? What they had to say about what has transpired with them?
Well, as Jay said, I don't think any one of us was too shocked about what they had to say. As far as their position on it, maybe they could chase a little more, maybe they couldn't. They did put out on their forum publicly how they felt about it, announced what they were told from Shane, and said exactly where they stand on it. So you have to respect that. And we also have to understand the direction that MSC is taking now with Frosty being the director now, and JP helping them out there. I think we will see in the MilSim community in our region here that MSC is traveling in the right direction with Frosty. One of the things they said in the interview was, we are players and we're for the players. And with Frosty and JP, I think that's true. Frosty rolled and stacked up with our group at Gruber. You know, he's always been the guy I've seen right there in the mix, on the ground, making stuff happen, trying to give everyone the best game they can have. So I think as far as the direction they're taking now, they're going in a positive direction. And, you know, I respect what Frosty and JP had to say about it.
And we appreciate the fact that, you know, they have currently banned Shane Vanneman from being able to play MilSim in this area and the surrounding region. I appreciate the fact, and our team appreciates the fact that, you know, they put out that they will continue to try to let other proprietors of other venues also know about his actions, and that their recommendation that he should be banned from being able to play in those areas as well. So, you know, I think, like Leland said, it's definitely the right direction for MSC, and you know, we just want to be here in Arkansas, being so close to Oklahoma. You know, we want to support those guys in any way that we can, and likewise, we hope that they support us. And you know, it's you know, two areas that can definitely really change the play of MilSim in the, you know, the southern central part of the United States.
Now, as I found out what was happening, obviously, as a veteran myself, I took a very strong stance and feeling on this whole thing, and you guys heard that I really, you know, asked that, you know, what do you guys feel? How do you guys, you know, justify the? I mean, what do you say to a veteran? What do you say to soldiers that have fought there and have been there? You know, what do you say to them, you know, about this? And is it strong enough what you guys did? I mean, do you guys as soldiers too, as professional soldiers and combat veterans, I mean, do you feel that they've done enough? Is it enough to just ban him from forums? Is it enough to just ban him for activities? I mean, these guys obviously, you know, not to say they haven't done enough, but, you know, sometimes as veterans we want the most out of this, especially for somebody that's insulted like us like this. Do you feel that maybe they should have, you know, tried pushing it a little farther legally? I mean, he was in their backyard, and if anybody has a legal evidence, they do.
I'm not sure what kind of action they could legally take. For one thing, as civilians, you know, it's really hard for them to truly understand what we've been through and where we're coming from when we say we're veterans. And, you know, you had to be there. You had to know what we're talking about. You had to see the sacrifices that our battle buddies made. So we're going to try to take care of that as much as we can from our end. The only thing that I would say to them, if they could do more, is make sure that every single person that was affected by Vanneman's lie is taken care of. The civilians on our team have been there from the beginning, before there even was a Bushman. And simply because the statements that were made against some of he has a Bushman Tactical Customs weapons shop that he does for Airsoft, and he put out some really shoddy stuff. And they made the comments, what's up with Shane, because he was their friend, and they were concerned because he was in a car wreck and stuff like that. Why is he putting out products like this? Because he normally didn't do that. And he took that as a deformation of character, and how dare you talk about me, because I'm a highly decorated wounded combat veteran. And he tried to keep them from playing the sport that they love. He tried to keep them out of MilSim. So that was really the motivation in taking care of this. So what I would challenge the Frosties and the JPs out there to do is welcome these guys with open arms and support them because they support him. Right those wrongs that were made because of his influence. Put the word out there with local teams, regional teams, and let them prove to you what they can do. Don't take a liar's word for it. Let them show you what they can do firsthand. And the other thing that I was going to say, the only thing I wish they had said was the conversation with Vanneman. He owned up to not being in the Army, Special Forces and all that. But the other thing to that was he said the reason nothing can be found about his service was, and that he wasn't in the Army, but the reason he's so special is because he was deep cover CIA. He did try to play that game, and fortunately they didn't, they didn't buy it. But I just want everyone to know at this time, Vanneman has not publicly owned up to or taken responsibility for his life, and I'm sure everyone agrees. There's nothing we can do to this guy. There's nothing we can do to him any worse than he's already done to himself. If we was to walk up and punch him in the face, it wouldn't prove anything. He needs to come out and publicly admit to his lies and take care of the people that he's hurt. He's hurt a lot of local teams around here because of his influence. He's hurt some guys that called him friend. And he continues to lie about it. He hasn't owned up to it. The only thing that he said was, I'm not in the Army, but I was deep cover CIA, and he wants them to continue to try and trust him. So that's the only thing that I wish they had said, but other than that, I understand and respect their position in this, and the only thing I would challenge them to do is maybe they can do it for Vanneman, is right those wrongs. Welcome those guys that have a real passion for MilSim, that train next to the people that we all dress up to be like. And they train right next to them, and they deserve their respect, and they're supporting them. They've said that from the beginning, and I want them to know that. So I challenge them to pay it back.
All right. So now at this point we definitely understand now. We know that Shane Vanneman, the Bushman, has lied. We found out that he didn't serve in the military. Your investigation and then our background investigation did confirm that, and these things were confirmed through sources such as the Department of Defense, the military. We're not talking about obscure sites or any place where some random person can say, "Oh, I know for sure." No, these are coming from the federal government, and all this evidence does give us the conclusive now answer that Shane Vanneman is nothing that he ever claimed he was. Probably never will be now, especially with this happening, and that he's done nothing but deceive the entire Airsoft community, MilSim community since the beginning and his inception of his gameplay, I guess.
Yeah, and nothing violates his personal identifiable information, and it's all legal through the Freedom of Information Act.
So let's go back a little bit to the beginning here, and let's talk about that evidence and what you guys discovered that gave you the conclusive fact-based feeling or satisfaction that you could come here today and say that this man is a total fraud. I mean, where did take us back to day one, to where you were like, wait a minute, the red flag has just gone up.
Well, day one is when the red flag came up. I wasn't a part of the Outlaws team. I was invited out to a game with one of my colleagues, an active duty staff sergeant. He said, you need to come check this Airsoft stuff out. And I was like, I don't know about that. I don't know too much about that. It seems like I'm going around with some kids shooting BBs. He's like, no, you'll like this. So I came out. I got interested in it. I saw the training value, the real-world training value that these MilSim weapons give soldiers, so I stuck with it. And before I was even on the team, before anybody knew me or anything like that, he approached me after a game and said, man, you look like you know what you're doing. You seem like you're an experienced operator. I'm pretty experienced myself. I was a former sniper with Special Forces Operational Detachment Delta, day one. So that really stuck out to me. Like, would you really walk up to somebody and say that? I didn't put too much stock into it or anything like that. And, you know, the point is to come out and conduct MILSIM operations anyway. So if you are Special Forces, if you're not, I wasn't thinking about it at that time.
Uh-huh.
But as time progressed, and the more and more he would talk and things that were said about him, it made me feel uncomfortable because, Javier, you've been in the military. It's not so much what he said, it's what he didn't say. You know, everybody has their stories about Fort Benning, you know, and which MRE they liked, and those 25-mile ruck marches, and
Porta potties,
and camel spiders.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like he doesn't have that kind of.
There's not that kind of lingo that he obtained, and you know he's done a lot of things. You know he's an intelligent fella. I'll give him that, and the fact that he's done some due diligent work to be able to make a very coverable story for himself. The thing is that, you know, you can watch the interview with the Bushman. You know, I don't know a guy that would be in the service for 5 to 10 years that would ever stand around in a BDU blouse or ACU blouse and leave it unbuttoned. It's something we get up and do every morning or have done every morning for 5 or 10 years or 20 years. You just don't do that. And, you know, some other mannerisms that he has when he talks, he covers his face a lot, you know. I think when you talk to people in body language studies, they'll tell you that is a sure sign of someone lying and looking for answers in the back of their head somewhere, you know. You know, the other thing is, like we said, there was, you know, this team, the Airsoft Outlaws, they had a small rescue detachment, and this is the guys that have broken away from that and become Central Arkansas MILSIM. And, you know, these are guys that 2 of them are civilians, and they even have questions. You know, when he would talk, you know, these guys are smart enough and have listened to enough active duty guys or ex-military that have even picked up on them. And so it's hard for me to believe that there's a lot of people out there that would have talked to Shane Vanneman and not picked up on the fact that, you know, some of the things that he said or some of his mannerisms just didn't add up. And, you know, I've never met a Delta operator or, you know, I've met some SF guys, but, you know, in my mind, that he just doesn't have the swagger that I would imagine that somebody of that elite operator type status would have, nor the fact that most of them would ever talk about their experiences and stuff that, you know, was in their past backgrounds.
Another good example, we were at the Direct Action Resource Center, and the night before, our good friends, civilian guys, Matt Ringer and Michael Hartwick, 2 great guys on our team, we trained pretty much all night the night before the op. And I trained them exactly how I would train a regular Joe, an NCO, an officer, anybody in the military on how to survive Battle Drill 6, clearing the room. We train, and these guys are so proficient at it. But we offered the Bushman to come along, and he says he's a SF Delta guy, you know, give us, you know, critique us. And he was lost. And it was from that point on that the civilian guys were like, there's no way. There's no way that he can be Special Forces. And, you know, it kind of went like that.
So when his legitimacy was finally starting to be questioned by Staff Sergeant Leland Lawson and some of the civilians, Matt Ringer and Michael Hardwick, when the question started, you know, to be too tough for him, it was easier for him to find ways to, you know, put a stain on these guys, because I just became part of the team here recently, and from day one of meeting these guys. I've been with them and I've stuck by them. I could have easily gone and played with the Airsoft Outlaws, but you know, it's one of those things where you kind of fall into an area and you feel comfortable with them. And you know, it was an unfortunate thing that you know, he found it easier to try to get the rest of the Airsoft Outlaw team to blackball, so to speak, these three players that are extremely good and probably some of the best guys that on their team. And using things such as they're too aggressive, they're too arrogant, they don't wear the right kind of eye pro, you know, just some really silly things to get rid of them, because it was easier for him to get them blackballed where he didn't have to answer any more questions or bring any more attention to himself. And, you know, with him having those relationships with the head of that team, it was easy for them to all come to an agreement to go ahead and blackball him. And that's kind of where, once that happened, you know, we started our kind of investigation. You know, kind of like Leland said, on day one, when I finally came on board with the Airsoft Outlaws, you know, I sent out an introduction email on their forum and, you know, quickly received a PM from Shane where he clearly states, and I've provided the evidence, you know, he says that I am a 10-year retired veteran and combat junkie myself after serving for over 8.5 years as a sniper with both the U.S. Army 2nd Rangers and SFOG CAG /SAD Special Forces SFOD-D. You know, we know that, you know, those that are in the know, those are some SMUs, Special Mission Units, and, of course, Operational Detachment Delta. And another PM he sent me, he clearly wrote at the bottom of it his title, which was Gregory S. Banneman, Master Sergeant, MSG, USSF, SFOD-D, Sniper, retired, and under that, the Bushman. So, you know, we've got other places where he has clearly came back and admitted that he was never SF, he was never an Operational Detachment Delta guy. You know, there are other claims that, you know, are word of mouth from people to me that you know, I just really couldn't stomach when you start to make claims that puts you in the same place as Congressional Medal of Honor winners. That's when we really, I personally, and I think I speak for the rest of the team, is we couldn't take it anymore and we had to do something. So, you know, we took off and started doing an investigation. We actually went to a Real Steel community forum, put the information out there. This forum is extremely good. It has ties back to military and law enforcement, both active and ex, and obviously the special operations community. And it's a community I've been a part of for a while. And I knew if anybody could get to the bottom of the truth of it, they could at least start putting us in the right direction. And they did an amazing job. One of the individual members himself, who has some connections within the military arena, was able to do a lot of the research for us. And obviously, finally, it came down to a middle of the truth from Banneman in an email to this member, which he publicly made available, where finally, once again, once he made an admission, the admission never came to owning what he has done. It was basically, he blamed it on substance abuse and the death of what he says is a friend that hasn't been confirmed, who was supposedly a Navy SEAL. Well, he was a Navy SEAL and killed in action in Afghanistan. Now, whether he is friends with this person or not, I don't know how you go about honoring the death of a special elite operator such as that by making up lies about yourself and saying that you're on the same level as somebody like that. So
also, he had a website where he sold ghillie suits. So he said he's a professional because of the time served in the U.S. Army Special Forces as a sniper. Well, then he tried to say that he had set up the website for his friend, who was an Army sniper. and that's the only reason why he did it. But then after that, he said his friend was this person that he put on the forum, but it turned out the friend was a Navy SEAL, not an Army sniper. So, I mean, is that conclusive? No, but it just makes you wonder exactly what you can take from the guy.
I think the bottom line is we got an admission of not being a Special Forces operator, not being a Delta sniper, not ever having been a member of the 2nd 75th Rangers,
Or in
the Army, period. So an admission directly from him where, you know, if it's one of those things where if you're willing to lie about that much, what else would you be willing to lie about? And, you know, this goes as far as, you know, has he ever received military benefits based off of, you know, the lies he's created? You know, some people, it says, some of the folks say that he has produced paper that supports that, and now that we know that he admits to not having ever been a member of the military, we can't find any records of him within Human Resource Command that have ever been served in the military. You know, is he forging documents and therefore to try to prove his legitimacy? And if that's the case, what else would he be willing to do? You know, this is a community where we have 13-year-old kids that have parents that are signing liability waivers for them to go out and play Airsoft, and he's around children. And I don't know if that is a good idea either. So, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, these are young, impressionable youths, very incorrigible, and, you know, obviously they're easily influenced at this time in their life, and this isn't somebody I would ever want around my child and supposedly teaching him stuff about special operations community.
That's very important there too, because even now, and especially after the information started coming out on the MSC forum about what had happened in him, who he is. I mean, you could still see supporters out there that either didn't want to believe it or wanted to, you know, make it lighter and not as impactful. But the reality is, just like you said, there are these young people out there that, you know, that all of a sudden this is the guy they're supposed to idolize. And I think it's definitely a it's a very damaging thing to Airsoft to have people like this going out there, bad to Milsim, bad to society in general, to have people that, you know, want to claim all these things, put themselves on that pedestal as somebody to follow an example, and then find out that this is all a sham. So, you know, his damage, you know, beyond what could end up being financial and be, you know, due to the reputation of MSC, which I'm sure will survive this because of a new clear path. But it's the impact on all of those people that even now say that they would still fight with them. I mean, it's ridiculous that anybody would say that.
And that's troubling to our team overall, is the fact that, you know, you have someone influencing people that haven't been in the military to, you know, I don't know how far the influence goes. You know, there are, you've always got to worry about people that believe it's okay that, you know, they put on unit patches and rank that they haven't earned, and then, you know, go on YouTube and do, you know, different kind of loadout videos or whatever. You know, it took me a long time to get to the rank of captain, and, you know, I worked very hard and trained my soldiers very, very diligently. You know, and it's a little bit of a slap in the face to guys that have earned the rank that they're at, and then see guys that just put it on their uniform and never clearly state, well, you know, I'm not a captain in the Army or a lieutenant, or an NCO. You know, this is just my persona that I play on or play to on the Milsim arena. You know, and that stuff, if you're going to do that, you know, that's fine. If you're playing to be part of a persona in the Milsim game, just remember to leave that persona on the field. You know, that's where it needs to stay, and it doesn't need to follow you into your civilian life. It's disrespectful on a lot of different levels, and our military that serves, has served, and continues to serve. They worked hard for their ranks and combat patches. The right sleeve, as we all know, is reserved for a special thing. That's a combat patch. And, I see a lot of young guys go out there and they buy uniforms from the surplus store. And, we as guys that have been there need to make sure that we're policing that kind of stuff up, and explaining to them. A lot of them probably don't even know, but explaining to them, that is a special sleeve, and it needs to be, for those guys that have earned those awards. And, those are the only guys that should be wearing them.
Exactly, and it's, I think that, with this, with us sitting down, with everybody hearing this, I'm hoping, and I really do hope that it spreads out through the community, that a standard should now be set for this kind of thing, and an understanding across the community of Milsim and Airsoft that there are people that did what they did and earned it, and it's good that you want to, depict that character, you want to be like that person, but I think that continued message that you're the alter ego of the Milsim player, of the gung-ho running gun guy on the field, needs to stay on the battlefield once the game is done, and that message is what needs to really be sent through the entire community, and the continued exposure of these guys and these kind of people is something that we should always do. There are people that will say that, what is it? Why is it? What's your place? Who are you to be judging? And it's like, no. I mean, it's everybody's duty to expose these kinds of people, because quite simply, at the end of the day, he's confessed. We have proof from sniper school, the army itself, special forces school, all contacted, criminal investigation division contacted, all saying that he has never served. There is no DD-214. It's deafened. There's no two ways about it. So he lied. He betrayed the Airsoft community, Milsim community, and he broke the law. Anybody that breaks the law, especially to this degree, deserves the full prosecution of the law. So it's important that is told and repeated to anybody that might want to try and follow in those footsteps.
And that's the thing right there, is exactly what you said, is the fact that, he has, in a way, I have no doubt that, and I think most people would agree that he has profited from this persona that he has created. Like we talked about Javier earlier, is I think there's no guy in the Milsim community that if they got offered an opportunity to go to SHOT Show that wouldn't just explode out of, just pure excitement. And, I know the guys on our team would love to go SHOT Show. And, unfortunately, none of us, I guess, have created a persona to be able to be special enough to get to go to SHOT Show. And so I don't think there's any way that you can't tell me that he has not profited. And it's the fact that, some people will argue the stolen valor point, just like, it was on ABC News not too long ago, where an individual had First Amendment rights, but, this is a person that, we all have First Amendment rights, but when you lie to a point and you profit from it, that's where it takes on a whole other realm of you just, slap this guy in the hand and say, don't do that again, or you, unload both barrels on him and make sure that he, he feels the pain. And in my mind, he needs to feel the pain.
All right, guys. I want to thank you. I really want to thank you because you guys have done a service to the military. And most importantly, I think you've done a service to Milsim and Airsoft. And I think you've done a service to society in general for continuing your efforts. And through all of the tough parts, where people might have told you otherwise, for continuing your efforts, investigating, finding the facts, and putting this out for everybody to understand. I think MSC has done a great job, too. They have defined themselves as how they're going to, handle this and how they are now different from that. And I think it's good that they're looking for a new direction. I think a new direction needs to be, is exactly what they needed. I think a new direction is the attitude towards MilSim and people that are going to be posers is important. And the fact that, this came out like this is going to only do better things for MilSim because, we learn from these things. And it's important that we keep teaching and telling people about this.
Absolutely. And like you said, I mean, there's got to be, even talking with some of the people in MilSim, there's got to be doctrine written for even MilSim. And, both, Leland and myself have laid out our documentation openly to our team that substantiates our credit to the things that we've done. And so therefore, there needs to be people that stand up and say, okay, this guy, if he wants to, and that's what the stance that we're taking. We want positive growth of the sport in our area. One of our stances is if somebody wants to look at being a member of our team, then if they've got past military experience that they want to, obviously use their combat patch or whatever, then they need to be able to provide documentation, and it's as simple as, like you said, a DD-214. This stuff with Shane, he could have easily produced a DD-214 back whenever, but, obviously he doesn't have that. He couldn't produce that, and therefore, we just need to make sure we place up our own and make sure that we're doing the right things to enhance the sport and obviously move it in a positive growth direction.
Yes. Thank you. I want to accept thank you once again to everybody out there listening. This Week in Airsoft is committed to bringing these kinds of facts out. While we love to talk about the lighter side of Airsoft and innovation and things happening, it's important for us to take the time to talk about these things and expose all sides and show all sides of MilSim and Airsoft. I want to encourage all producers, anybody out there that has a team, especially a good professional level kind of team, a producer of an event, that it's time for us to sit down and decide, guidelines. If this person is going to be, part of the team, call himself this, you need to do this, you need to look into it. We can't do this play-dumb thing anymore and feel bad when we find out the truth. It's important that everybody take responsibility in that sense. And I hope everybody continues to listen to us, and we'll continue to bring you such events as these. And we hope to continue informing Airsoft on everything and MilSim on everything that's happening in our community. And it's just the sternest warning I could give to all of you out there that would pretend to be a soldier, that pretend to be a veteran, to go out there and pretend to be something that you're not. People will find out. People will find you and will expose you. Because there are those that take great value in what they've done, and there are those that take great value in what soldiers have done, and are willing to put themselves out there and take whatever criticism it takes, as long as justice is done, and that's important. So thank you all for listening tonight, and come listen to us in about 2 weeks, where we're going to be sitting down with the Vice President of BB Bastards, a great new up-and-coming BB company, and they're going to be showing us their new product line, and then there's a great new product you guys really need to see. I mean, there's BBs, and then there's BB Bastards. So once again, Captain Irwin, Staff Sergeant Lawson, I want to thank you, and we hope to keep in touch with you guys and hear more about what you guys are doing, because I think that your standards are ones that everybody should follow, and I think that you guys, in a lot of ways, are blazing a path for the way MilSim Airsoft should go and how teams should go and the attitude that they should take when forming and operating in the future.
Absolutely. We really appreciate it.
We appreciate the time and just being able to speak the truth and making sure people know to keep an eye out there for the posers. There's a lot of them, and they have no pulse in MilSim.
All right. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys again in 2 weeks. Everybody out there, keep listening to This Week in Airsoft. Look for us on Twitter. Look for us on Facebook. Watch our site, and we'll keep updating you and bringing you the latest and greatest and what's happening this week in Airsoft. Thank you very much.